I think there's a real chance Shikamaru gets taken out, and that's what brings Kakashi Hatake back into the story. His absence from the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga has stopped feeling like a coincidence. The more chaotic things get, the stronger the sense that the 6th Hokage is just waiting for his moment to step back in. Let me walk you through it, and hey, don't forget to hit that notification bell, because the next video is going to be even better, and you won't want to miss it. Let me be clear right away, my theory isn't just wishful thinking from fans who want to see a familiar face again. In Chapter 36, we got a glimpse of possible future fragments that Kashin Koji saw. Among them, the conversation between Jura and Shikamaru stands out. It doesn't feel like ordinary diplomacy or a random encounter. The air feels heavier, and Shikamaru himself looks like someone who understands that the old rules don't apply anymore. In a world where knowing the future actually changes the future, even a short exchange like that can work as a warning. And that conversation could very well end with the current Hokage being wiped out. So why do I even think this outcome is possible? Because Shikamaru is caught in the middle of a conflict on multiple fronts at once. He has to protect Konoha from the Ten Tails, keep the truth about Boruto hidden, go head-to-head with the daimyo, and make decisions that determine Naruto's fate all at the same time. It's the role of someone being forced to move faster than his own doubts allow. Shikamaru's strength has always been his intellect, but intellect doesn't always save you when your enemy is someone like Jura who could level an entire village. And here's the thing, the biggest threat isn't just the enemy outside. Inside the Land of Fire, Shikamaru is quietly becoming a problem for the people in power. The lords aren't happy that he's acting on his own, that he doesn't just follow every order they give, and that he's pursuing policies they see as risky. To them, the Hokage should be a manageable representative of the village, but Shikamaru is acting like an actual leader, someone willing to push back even against people who technically outrank him. If he loses his position, the daimyo gets the opening to install a more convenient candidate. Kakashi already served as Hokage once, and his time in charge landed during a strange transitional period. The war had just ended, old enemies had become allies, and the world didn't need a bold new promise so much as it needed quiet, steady rebuilding. In the supplementary materials about Kakashi, he's shown as more than just a placeholder for Naruto. He focused on reconstruction, on strengthening ties between villages, and on gradually turning Konoha from a wartime stronghold into something closer to a modern city. It was really under him that the village started to genuinely change. And that's where my take on his comeback comes in. Kakashi probably wouldn't return as the main fighter who single-handedly takes down Jura, and not even as a mentor guiding the new generation. He's known by shinobi, by the daimyo, by allied villages, and by ordinary citizens alike. He knows how to talk to conservative lords in the language of responsibility, and to young shinobi in the language of trust. That kind of person won't necessarily be everyone's favorite, but he's the one people will believe when things get really bad. Think back to how Hiruzen stepped up after Minato's death. He wasn't the youngest option, and he definitely wasn't the perfect solution on paper, but the village needed someone who already understood the cost of power. Hiruzen didn't come back for glory, he came back because Konoha was left without an anchor. Something similar could easily happen with Kakashi. After Naruto disappears and Shikamaru possibly falls, the village is going to be left in a vacuum. Sarada is still too young to fully lead. Handing the role to one of the military advisors would probably just make the conflict worse. That's exactly when Kakashi stops being a nostalgic cameo and becomes the most practical choice on the table. There's also a personal reason his return would hit so hard emotionally. Kakashi has spent his whole life losing people and then just going back to work, like he could neatly pack the grief away in a box. He lost his father, Obito, Rin, Minato, his teammates, an entire generation. After the war, for the first time, he finally got the chance to live for himself, read his books, watch his students grow from a distance. But Boruto is a story where the past doesn't let go of anyone. Memory seals, rewritten history, Naruto and Sasuke vanishing, Boruto being turned into an outsider in his own world in a reality like that. Kakashi can't stay a bystander forever. He knows all too well what happens when the adults stay silent. There's also that mysterious line from an old interview that fans have been picking apart for years. The creators really did hint that Kakashi's absence from the manga is tied to some future role he's going to play, and that revealing it early would be a huge spoiler. That interview might have just been about the franchise in general rather than one specific twist, but put next to where Konoha's story is heading right now, it sounds a lot more interesting. If the creators really have been saving Kakashi for an important moment, I think this is that moment. So what could happen next? First possibility, Shikamaru survives, but the daimyo strips him of his title anyway, pinning the latest crisis on his decisions. Kakashi comes back as Hokage and takes on the job of preparing the village for what's coming. Second, Jura defeats Shikamaru, but not before he manages to pass Kakashi crucial information about the future, about Boruto, or about the Ten Tails' real goals. In that version, Kakashi's return wouldn't be some administrative formality, it'd be deeply personal. He'd take the title knowing full well that leading Konoha means sending shinobi back into battle all over again. For a man who's spent his whole life trying to break that cycle, that's about as cruel an irony as it gets. But there's a third possibility that might be the most unexpected of all. Kakashi could sacrifice himself. I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but the parallel to Hiruzen is too strong to just brush aside. Hiruzen came back to power, lived with his own past mistakes, and ultimately fell protecting the village from Orochimaru. Kakashi could take the title for only a short stretch of time, just long enough to buy the new generation a few decisive moments. His end shouldn't just be fan service or cheap nostalgia bait. It could be the thing that finally gives Sarada the opening to stand up against the system and lets Boruto fully reclaim his name. But my theory does have a weak spot, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. Blue Vortex has a habit of piling on massive threats, so bringing Kakashi back could end up pushing the actual main characters into the background. If he just shows up, drops a few wise one-liners, and disappears again, that's not real development, that's just fan service for Naruto fans. What this needs is a different kind of Kakashi. Tired, politically inconvenient, someone who gets things wrong sometimes. Let him butt heads with Sarada, let him not immediately trust Boruto. Let him admit that the old methods just don't cut it anymore. His experience should help the new generation, not replace their growth. There's one more detail that makes a potential comeback especially interesting. Kakashi doesn't need to be the strongest character in the room anymore. Since losing his Sharingan, he's no longer the legendary copy ninja we remember from all those final showdowns. His value now lies somewhere else entirely, in his observation skills, his memory, his ability to read people and ask the uncomfortable questions at exactly the right time. In a manga where the villains keep breaking our whole understanding of what power even means, that kind of approach could feel genuinely fresh. Kakashi notices things other people miss, because he understands how shinobi think and how enemies think too. He could become the character who bridges military strategy, diplomacy, and basic human compassion. Honestly, that's a lot more compelling than yet another hidden power-up. So yeah, I really do think there's always been a place for Kakashi in this story, and honestly, his absence feels heavier with every new chapter. When Konoha is arguing over the truth, when the people in power start fearing their own Hokage, when the future turns into nothing but terrifying possibilities, you can't help but ask, where's the guy who already lived through something like this before? Kakashi might come back in the next few chapters, later down the line, or maybe not at all. But if the creators do decide to make that move, they'll have the chance to connect two eras without leaning on cheap nostalgia. And when that happens, his return won't just be a gift to the fans, it'll be an admission that the old heroes carry responsibility for the future too. So now, I want to hear from you. How do you see this playing out? Drop your own theory in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.